On the way home, in Lu Shiyu's car, he suddenly said, Chen Shuyao and I are together, right in the seat you're sitting in now. She's got more tricks than you and is much more adventurous. No wonder Qin Yanzhou cheated back then. After saying that, he stared at me fixedly, wanting to savor the look of me falling apart. After all, Chen Shuyao used to be my best friend, and Qin Yanzhou was my ex-husband. My last marriage also ended because Qin Yanzhou cheated on me with Chen Shuyao. I sat in the front passenger seat in silence for a long moment. After asking Lu Shiyu to pull over, I opened the door, then under his expectant gaze, pulled a hospital diagnosis report out of my bag and said calmly, "Oh, Chen Shuyao was diagnosed with AIDS." I was just about to take the report to her. Didn't you know? It was 10 o'clock at night when I finally got off work at the hospital and stepped outside, only to see Lu Shiyu's car parked at the entrance of the ER building, a black Maybach, very elegant. I opened the car door and got in. The seat was, as expected, still warm. A gentle stream of air from the vent brushed over me, not too cold, not too warm, exactly the temperature I liked. "Have you been waiting long?" I asked. "Just got here," he said, but I knew the foam on the latte in the cup holder had already sunk by a layer. It had been there for at least 20 minutes. I didn't call him out on it. The car stereo was playing a piano piece at low volume, Chopin's Nocturne, one I liked. He never listened to this sort of music, but he remembered what I'd want to hear when I got in the car. The car slowly rolled out through the hospital gates, and the city's neon lights streaked across the window in trails of color. I leaned back in the seat, closed my eyes for a moment, and then something came back to me. "Don't go home yet," I said. "Let's swing by Shuyao's place. It's just up ahead. Her new rental apartment isn't far." There was a sharp screech of brakes. My body lurched forward, the seatbelt digging into my shoulder as the latte tipped out of the cup holder and splattered a small puddle onto my trench coat. I froze for a second, then turned to look at Lu Shiyu. His hands were still clenched on the steering wheel, knuckles white and sharply raised, as if he were about to crush it. "Shiyu," I kept my voice very soft and gentle, the way you might try to reassure family members in the ER who have just been told a loved one is in critical condition. "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" He didn't answer right away. "Shiyu." I called his name again and reached out, wanting to touch his arm. His shoulders tensed slightly, and he said, "Sorry." Then I started the car again and drove slowly, very slowly, down the road. "What's wrong?" I asked again, my voice still gentle. I knew he must have heard something that upset him deeply, or perhaps I had said something wrong, but all I said was, "Let's go to Chen Shuyao's place." Nothing more. "It's nothing," he said. Then he smiled, a slight curve at the corner of his mouth. "It just occurred to me," he said, his voice calm as if commenting on the weather. "There's something I never told you." "What is it?" Chen Shuyao and I sat for it. I thought I'd misheard. My mind scrambled to find another meaning for those 4 words. Did he say collaborated, worked on a project together, or was it that Chen Shuyao had been consulting for his company lately? "Right where you're sitting now," Lu Shiyu said, his right hand left the steering wheel, and he patted the leather seat beside me, near the door, with the heel of his palm. It was a gentle gesture, like pointing out the wear and tear on a piece of merchandise. "It was raining that night, remember, the 16th of last month. You said you had surgery and told me not to pick you up. I didn't. I went to her place instead. Later, we left her apartment, drove here, this exact road, just a bit before the intersection where you wanted to turn, and parked, right here." In the passenger seat, Lu Shiyu's account was delivered with the cold, precise, and exhaustive detail of an overly thorough medical report. "Her waist is so soft," Lu Shiyu said, his pace deliberate, as if appraising an exquisite dish. "More curves than you know. You're too thin, it's not comfortable to hold you. You feel bony everywhere, but she's different. She has curves where she should, and she's soft where it matters." He paused, his thumb gently stroking the steering wheel, "And she's skilled. I don't need to teach her anything. She knows it all. Has anyone ever told you that you're like a rigid medical student, just mechanically following a procedure?" 2. The world outside kept moving. A delivery rider passed by our car, the light from his electric scooter sweeping across the windshield. A couple walked hand in hand across the crosswalk, the girl's laughter audible even through the closed window. But inside the car at that moment, Lu Shiyu might as well have been holding a scalpel, dissecting my heart. My fingers rested on the stained patch of my trench coat. The once warm milk stain had long gone cold, stiffening the fabric. It felt like the skin on the back of my neck, growing colder, bit by bit. Lu Shiyu kept going. don't you think so?" He suddenly turned to look at me, his eyes lit with a kind of anticipation, an impatient, eager anticipation I had never seen on his face before. "Qin Shuyao is so much more interesting than you, no wonder Qin Yanzhou cheated on you with her." Qin Yanzhou, those 3 words were like a rusty key, prying open the door I had spent 2 whole years locking shut. Qin Yanzhou, my ex-husband, the man I once thought I would spend my life with. He was tall and lean, wore glasses, and had 2 dimples when he smiled. He would write me poems on Valentine's Day and rush to the hospital with an umbrella for me on rainy days. We were married for 3 years. And I thought we were happy, at least I was happy, until I opened that USB drive. The USB drive was sent to me by Qin Shuyao. It had Qin Shuyao's favorite pink cat head design on it, and it was delivered to me by a same-city courier inside a clear plastic bag, with a note tucked in that said, "You should take a look at this." I plugged the USB drive into my computer. There was only one folder inside, named Yanzhou and Shuyao. When I opened it, there were 67 photos and 9 videos. It took me a full 4 hours to finish reading everything. I stopped 6 times along the way, and every single time I had to rush to the bathroom to throw up. I threw up 6 times, and by the end all I was vomiting was yellow-green bile. It was disgusting, truly disgusting. In the photos, Qin Shuyao and Qin Yanzhou were on the wedding bed I shared with Qin Yanzhou, in the bathroom, in the passenger seat of the car I sat in most often, every place where Qin Yanzhou and I had lived together. Amid that tangled, frenzied intimacy, Qin Shuyao called out Qin Yanzhou's name in a sweet, coquettish voice. And Qin Yanzhou's response was just as passionate. In the last few seconds of the video, Qin Shuyao smiled at the camera, sweetly and sincerely, like a girl sharing happy news with a close friend. Then she said, "Yanzhou said he's never been this happy before. Nanchu, I hope you don't mind." That sentence hit me like a bullet, clean through the chest, and in that instant, everything I thought I knew about trust, friendship, and love came crashing down. The 3 months that followed were the darkest 3 months of my life. I locked myself in my room and refused to see anyone. After 3 days of drifting through the fog, I started thinking about death, and I slit my wrists. If my mom hadn't noticed something was wrong and taken me to the hospital, I would probably have been nothing more than a pile of ashes by now. When I woke up, my mom was sitting beside me, staring at me intently. She said, "If you dare die, I'll die with you. Do you hear me?" I held my mom's hand and promised her I would see a psychiatrist. 3 months after being discharged from the psychiatric hospital, Lu Shi reappeared in my life. Lu Shi was my in Jiangnanshu's college classmate. Back in college, he had pursued me. When we met again, he started chasing me once more. A year later, he proposed to me, and I said yes. Lu Shi was so good to me, so considerate. He remembered all my preferences, bringing me hot congee during my late night shifts, silently staying by my side when I was grieving over a patient's death. I thought this time, perhaps I could finally grasp a steady happiness, but it turns out, after all the twists and turns, the story has circled right back to where it began. It's still Qin Shuyao, the same scenario, the exact same betrayal. 3. I looked up at Lu Shiyu. He remained in that tilted head posture, staring fixedly at me. His dark eyes were filled with an emotion I couldn't decipher, anticipation, even a hint of cruel excitement, like a hunter waiting to see how his trapped prey would struggle. I shifted my fingers, lifting my hand from the milk stain it had been resting on. My fingertips brushed against the metal zipper of the bag, then slipped inside, where I felt the familiar touch of the brown paper envelope. "Shiyu," I said, my voice calm, so calm that even I found it a little surprising, but on second thought, maybe it wasn't that surprising. After going through a real breakdown, a person's tolerance for a lot of things becomes very high. "Pull over." He didn't move, just pull over up ahead for a sec. "I need to get out." His expression changed, like a child who had carefully prepared a gift for a long time, only to open the present box with great anticipation and find nothing inside. He couldn't figure out what had gone wrong, why the script wasn't unfolding the way he had envisioned. "Is that all you have to say?" he asked, his voice tinged with an unmistakable frustration. "Pull over first." I insisted. He signaled and pulled the car over to the side of the road. I didn't get out right away. Instead, I leaned back in my seat and unlocked the car door. "Qin Shuyao said." Lu Shiyu's voice was still coming from nearby, the frustration now transformed into something else, like stubborn determination to push through an unfinished plan. "She said if you knew about us, you'd totally lose it. That look on your face would be priceless." He emphasized the words really interesting with particular weight, as if reminding me that this should be something to be happy about? I turned to look at him and suddenly felt like laughing. A long time ago, he said he liked me. Maybe he really did, once, but that liking was no different in essence from the way Chen liked me, fragile, shattering at the slightest touch. I opened the car door and stepped one leg out onto the road. Lu Xiu's voice called after her. Where are you going, Lu Xiu? I said, my voice not loud but clear enough in the quiet night. Chen Shuyao has been diagnosed with AIDS. I'm going to her place now to deliver this diagnosis report. Didn't you sleep with her before? I uttered the words "it's done" in a hushed tone, as casually as if I were saying I've eaten or I've seen it. Then I suggest you get yourself checked out. Immediately, with that, I grabbed my bag, turned, and got out of the car, a wave of relief washing over me. Through the lowered car window, I saw Lu Xiu's face drain of all color. His pupils dilated in an instant, and his lips parted, trembling. For a long moment before any sound finally escaped. What did you say? The voice sounded as if it came from a great distance. AIDS, I repeated, pulling the manila envelope containing Chen Shuyao's diagnostic report from my bag. The envelope was printed in bold with our hospital's name and the words "Diagnostic Report, HIV antibody positive, the confirmatory test has been done. And the result is the same. If you don't believe it, you can go see for yourself." Oh, wait, no, you can't. You don't have the authorization, that's patient confidentiality. I delivered this good news in a perfectly clinical tone, gentle, patient, and even offering an explanation in case he didn't understand. Lu Xiu froze in the driver's seat, all traces of his earlier cool, malicious amusement gone. You're joking, right? How is this possible? How could Chen Shuyao have AIDS? No, it can't be, you must be joking. Give me the report. As he spoke, he reached out to snatch the manila envelope. I quickly pulled my hand back and tucked the report into my bag. No, you can't, I said. This is Chen Shuyao's diagnostic report. She's the patient, and I have no right to show you her private information. I've already broken hospital rules by telling you the result, and that was only because you're my husband. That's misconduct enough. I can't let you see it. His hand froze in midair, unable to pull back for the longest time. I stood under the street lamp by the roadside. The evening wind, carrying the night's chill, swept over me, brushing against my milk-stained trench coat. Yet, I felt a profound sense of relief wash through me. I'm heading back. You should take some time to think things over. I gave him a nod, turned, and hailed a taxi. Before getting in, I didn't forget to give myself a thorough spritz of hand sanitizer. Back in the spacious apartment I bought myself, I immediately sent my resignation notice to the hospital director, then contacted my trusted lawyer to have her draft another divorce agreement for me. The phone I'd tossed aside kept vibrating, its screen lighting up every so often. When I picked it up, I saw that every single message was from Lu Xiu. Where are you, Nanchu? Is that diagnosis report you mentioned real? You made that up to fool me, didn't you? To get back at me. I switched my phone to Do Not Disturb, put on my eye mask, and climbed into bed. After all, I had a lot on my plate tomorrow. Early the next morning, my internal clock woke me up right on time. I checked my phone and saw not only endless messages from Lu Xiu, but also a missed call from Chen Shuyao from earlier that day. As soon as I turned off Do Not Disturb, Chen Shuyao called again. Seeing her name flashing on the screen, I tapped the green accept button. Nanchu, her voice carried this forced enthusiasm, like she was greeting an old friend she hadn't seen in ages. What are you doing? Why didn't you pick up my call? Just got up. What's wrong? Oh, I just wanted to ask, did you have a fight with Lu Xiu last night? She lowered her voice a little, testing the waters with a careful, pretend concerned tone. He called me in the middle of the night and gave me a hard time, saying I'd ruined him or something. Nanchu, do you know something? What exactly are you referring to? Do you mean what you and he did? I asked calmly. Chen Shuyao remained silent for a long time. I could almost picture her expression right now. Her well-maintained face surely etched with surprise and resentment. She probably expected me to react like last time, crying, screaming at her, hysterically demanding why she had to treat me this way, but she forgot. The Jiang Nanchu who, 2 years ago, would have slit her wrists for Qingyanzhou was already dead. Nanchu, she said, her voice slipping back into that syrupy sweetness, like poison coated in honey. So you already know. All right, got it. So, what are you going to do? She asked, her tone laced with a casual, probing curiosity. Did you have a fight with Lu Xiu? I said nothing. She let out a soft sigh on the other end of the line, a hint of complaint in her voice. No wonder Lu Shiyu called me up last night, in the middle of the night no less, just to chew me out. But Nanchu, as your best friend, there are some things I really have to tell you. Go ahead, men, they're all like that, she said airily, as if commenting on the nice weather. You've been through a divorce before, so you should know better than I do. When it comes down to it, they're all the same. Every cat strays eventually. I leaned back against the headboard, switching the phone to my other hand. I watched the morning light filter through the gap in the curtains and spill onto the duvet, listening to Chen Shuyao's voice ramble on from the other end of the call. 5. It's just a bit of fun on the side. It's not like he's never coming home. Are you really going to get divorced again over something so trivial? Her voice carried a hint of a smile. Nanchu, think about it. You're 30, a woman who's been divorced twice. How would that sound to people? I'm saying this for your own good. Take my advice. Just turn a blind eye and let it go. Don't make such a big deal out of it. But there's something I feel I should tell you. Do you know what Lu Shiyu said about you? Her tone suddenly shifted, laced with a barely contained excitement. Like she'd been holding on to a secret for far too long and could finally let it out. I didn't respond, so she took my silence as consent. That night, in your family's Maybach, in the passenger seat you usually sit in, she paused deliberately here, as if giving me time to process it. He told me you were like a dead fish, across from me. I heard her let out a little giggle, then she went on. He said you just lie there motionless, don't know a thing, can't do a thing, and still need him to teach you. No fun at all. He said my waist is so much softer than yours, that my skin is smoother than yours, that I know every trick there is, that Shuyao, I interrupted her. Huh, she sounded annoyed at being interrupted, her tone clearly trailing off mid-thought. Are you done? There was a pause on the other end of the line. She was probably trying to figure out why my tone was so calm. Nanchu, you're not mad, are you? Her voice shifted back into that careful, worried tone. I really am just telling you the truth, so don't take it to heart. I just think you should reflect on yourself a bit. Why is it that both of your husbands ended up? Shuyao, I interrupted her again. I'm not mad. So then, I just wanted to tell you. My voice was calm, as calm and white as the pool of light beneath the surgical lamp in an operating room. Lu Shiyu and I are indeed getting a divorce, but not for the reasons you mentioned. Without waiting for her to speak, I went on. The test results from the checkup you had at our hospital a few days ago are out. Take a look. When would be convenient for you to come pick them up? Chen Shuyao hadn't gotten the answer she wanted from me and seemed utterly bored. She tossed off a perfunctory reply. Just mail it to our company. With that, I hung up the phone. You want me to send it to the company? Chen Shuyao, this was your idea. I booked a same-city courier and had him rush the report to Chen Shuyao's company. Then I sent a message to another co-worker of hers. I'd saved that contact a long time ago, back when I still didn't know Chen Shuyao and Qing Yanzhou were involved. From when I used to deliver things to her, I never thought it would still come in handy after all this time. I told her, Shuyao hasn't been feeling well lately, so I sent a medical checkup report to her company. Could you keep an eye out to see if the package has arrived? I'm afraid she might get busy and forget. After that, I contacted my lawyer and asked her to send the prepared divorce agreement to my email. I forwarded it to Lu Shiyu with a note. Sign it and send it to the law firm. My lawyer will follow up with you on the rest. 6. Lu Shiyu called right away. Nanchu. His voice was so hoarse it was almost painful, as if he had aged 10 years overnight. You can't do this. Do what? I asked casually. Divorce. He ground out those two words, his voice trembling. I won't sign it. Jiang Nanchu. I'm not signing. Where are you? He asked, his voice carrying a nearly frantic urgency. I'm coming to find you now. We'll talk face to face. Tell me what you want. Shares, money, a house, whatever you want, I'll give it to you, but we're not getting divorced. Do you hear me? I'm not getting divorced. Lu Shiyu, I cut him off, my voice not loud, but enough to make him stop. Did you go get checked? There was suddenly silence on the other end of the line, with only Lu Shiyu's heavy breathing audible. Looks like it's been checked. I'm not going to sign it. Jiang Nanchu, do you hear me? I'm not signing. Lu Shiyu's voice came through the receiver, carrying an almost breaking point stubbornness. Lu Shiyu, I said, my voice not loud, but every word was enunciated clearly. You don't have to sign it. In that case, I'll talk to you another way. on the other end of the line, his breathing was heavy, like a beast trapped in a cage. The 4% stake in the Liu family shares I have, I spoke slowly, like I was explaining a diagnosis to a patient who didn't understand very well. You should remember it, right? You transferred it into my name when we got married. Saying it was a gift for me, his breathing suddenly hitched. Jiang Nanchu, Lu Shiyu's voice changed abruptly. It was no longer that hoarse pleading from just now, but as if someone had clutched his throat, his breath carrying disbelief and shock. Do you even know what you're saying? Of course I do. I shifted into a more comfortable position. 4% isn't a huge stake, but it's not insignificant either. You should know better than I do how much you're holding now. Last time you mentioned it to me, I remember you said that with your voting rights, mine, and your mother's, it adds up to just over 30%, right? He said nothing, but his breathing grew heavier. How much does Mr. Zheng have now? 27%. I thought for a moment, if he gets my 4%, that brings him to 31%, and you lose this 4%, and you'll be left with just 26% at that point. It won't be certain who the largest shareholder of the Liu Group is, will it? You're threatening me, Liu. Shiyu's voice was so low it sounded as if it were coming up from underground. I'm discussing the terms of our divorce, I corrected him. If you won't agree to it, then I'll have to handle this my own way. You know me, I hate trouble. Have you worked things out with Mr. Zhang? He asked, his voice carrying an odd kind of calm, the eerie stillness before a storm. Not yet, I said, but given his ambition, I think he'd be very willing to take the shares I hold. Still, since we're husband and wife, I'm willing to give you first refusal, sign the divorce agreement, add 400 million in cash, and I'll sell you this 4% stake. There was a long silence on the other end of the line, so long that I thought he had already hung up. After a long while, he finally said, Nanchu, I love you, we're husband and wife, you can't. Lu Shiyu, you say you love me, I said suddenly, my tone casual, as if I were talking about something unimportant. Then tell me, is this how you love someone, by sleeping with her best friend, describing every detail to her, and waiting to watch her fall apart? 7. He didn't answer, but I could hear his breathing grow heavier and more ragged. That night, I went on, my voice still calm. On the way back, you said you slept with Chen Shuyao, right there in the seat I was sitting in. You said her waist was softer than mine, that she was more exciting than I was, that I looked like a dead fish lying there. Lu Shiyu, when you did those things and said those things, did you remember we were married? I cut him off. If you truly love someone, you wouldn't hurt her like this. When Qin Yanzhou cheated back then, at least he did it in secret, at least he still had a shred of shame, but not you. You did it on purpose. You told me, word for word, that you wanted to enjoy every reaction I'd have after I fell apart. Nanchu, I'm sorry. His voice was shaking when he said those 3 words. I shouldn't have. It's not that you shouldn't have, I said. It's that you think I'm not good enough. You think I'm a divorced woman and that I'm not worthy of you. So knowing what I've been through, you still deliberately got involved with Chen Shuyao just so I'd have to go through it all over again. When you married me back then, was it because you loved me, or because you couldn't let it go? I didn't think that. You did, I said, my voice turning icy. If you hadn't, you wouldn't have told me about that so smugly, waiting to watch me fall apart. You thought I'd never leave, so you didn't even bother pretending anymore. A dull thud came from the other end of the line, as if something had slammed into the wall. Just sign it, Lu Shiyu, I said. I'll sell you my shares, and you can keep your Liu Group. I'll go live my own life. We'll owe each other nothing, and if I don't agree, then I'll sell it to Mr. Zhang, I said without hesitation. You should know that I'm a man of my word. Silence. A long silence, then I heard Lu Shiyu take a deep breath, as though he were a drowning man surfacing for the last time. I'll sign. The words were forced through clenched teeth, each syllable dripping with bitterness. All right, I said. I'll send you my lawyer's contact information, mail the signed divorce papers to them, and we'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau this afternoon. It was almost noon by the time I got back from the Civil Affairs Bureau. The moment I got home, before I could even change my shoes, my phone blew up. A familiar name flashed on the screen. Chen Shuyao. I stared at the name for 2 seconds, answered, and before I could utter a word, a torrent of sharp, ear-splitting curses came screaming through the line. Jiang Nanchu, did you do this on purpose? Did you deliberately send that report to my company? What the hell were you thinking? Her voice was shrill and sharp, like nails scraping against glass, carrying a kind of near-broken madness. I could even hear the muffled whispers in the background on her end. Voices hushed but unable to conceal that gleeful, almost spiteful excitement. I pulled the phone away from my ear, switched hands, and slowly sank into the spacious imported sofa in the living room, made of genuine leather. It was soft and perfectly comfortable, chosen by me after spending an entire afternoon picking it out. Say something, are you guilty or not? She kept screaming, her voice now hoarse and ragged, a wretched mix of sobs and fury. How could you be so vicious, sending that thing to my office? How am I supposed to show my face there now? Do you have any idea the entire company knows? Do you know what they're saying behind my back? That I'm filthy, disgusting, that I have AIDS. Jiang Nanchu, why don't you just drop dead? Every word she spat out dripped with righteous fury, as if I were the one who'd done wrong, as if I were the one diagnosed with AIDS. As if I were the one who'd climbed into her best friend's husband's bed twice. You were never like this before. You're just jealous of me, you hate me, that's why you're deliberately ruining me. I'm telling you, Jiang Nanchu, I won't let you get away with this. Shuyao. I cut her off. She panted for breath like a trapped beast driven to the brink, the anger in her voice wrapped in an ever-thickening layer of fear. That fear seeped through her fractured voice, like pus leaking from a festering wound, impossible to conceal. The medical report came from the hospital. I just mailed it to the address you gave me. Your company, no less. My voice was calm, as light as that sticky note she'd slipped into the plastic bag when she sent me the USB drive all those years ago, the one that said, you should take a look at this. There was a sudden silence on the other end of the line, like a bird whose neck had been wrung. Jiang Nanchu, you bitch, stop playing innocent. You must have falsified the report to get back at me. The tremor in her voice grew more pronounced, fear slowly devouring her anger. I can't have HIV. How could I possibly have HIV? How could I have that disease? Your hospital must have made a mistake. I'm warning you, if you dare breathe a word of this to anyone, I'll sue you. I'll sue you for violating my privacy. I'll have your medical license revoked. Do you hear me? Of course you can go and report it, I said, but the report came from the hospital. If you don't believe it, you can go to another hospital and get tested again. My tone was flat as I said it. I felt like I was reciting lines from a script. You did this on purpose. You're getting back at me. How can you be so cruel? She finally broke down in tears, sounding utterly cornered. Say it, admit you did it on purpose. You faked the report to get revenge, didn't you? Jiang Nanchu, answer me. I'm sorry, but I didn't fake the report. The fact is, you are indeed ill. My gaze was fixed on the light refracted from the crystal chandelier on the ceiling, my voice soft and detached. HIV-1 antibody positive. If you don't believe it, like I said, you can go and get tested again. I don't believe it. I absolutely refuse to believe it. It can't be. Suddenly, there was a loud commotion on the other end of the line, as if she had thrown something to the floor. Then came a string of muffled, unintelligible muttering, half crying and half cursing, and then the call went dead. The line beeped twice with a busy signal, then the screen went dark. I tossed my phone onto the armrest and just lay there, staring at the ceiling without moving for a while. Chen Shuyao's voice still lingered in my ears, the faint aftershocks of it reverberating through my eardrums. She called me vicious, called me a bitch, and told me why I didn't just go die. That's hilarious. I found out about her and Lu Shiyu 3 months ago. Back then, Lu Shiyu started working overtime more and more often. He stopped bringing me congee on my night shifts, and sometimes when he spoke to me, his gaze would drift away. I'm not an idiot. A woman who has endured her husband's infidelity develops an almost instinctive sense for betrayal. It's like someone who has been bitten by a snake. Even the sight of a rope sends a chill down their spine. That's when I started preparing for the divorce from Lu Shiyu. I never went back to the home we shared, but he was too caught up in the thrill of his affair with my best friend to notice anything was wrong. 9. As for Chen Shuyao's illness, she brought it on herself. She likes to go after my men, calling it helping me test them or just messing around, but when it comes to men around her who fit her taste, she never says no either. Who knows when she picked up that disease? A month later, I successfully obtained the divorce certificate at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Lu Shiyu called out to me, Nanchu. His voice was very soft when he said my name, so hoarse it seemed almost to be carried away by the wind. I stopped in my tracks and looked down at him. Have you ever? His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed, as if it took everything he had to force out the last few words. Loved me? I thought for a moment, nodded, and got into the car without looking back. As soon as I got in, that sick feeling nearly overwhelmed me. How could I ever love him? When I met him, I had just been betrayed by a man and nearly died at his hands. How could I jump from one fire pit into another? I agreed to Lu Shiyu's proposal simply because he offered enough. When he asked me to marry him, he transferred half of his assets to me and had it notarized. I admit it, I have never been a noble person. I'm just an ordinary woman from an ordinary family, someone who worked her way into medical school step by step, got through her internship step by step, and built a foothold in the city step by step. I've seen too many women get trapped by money. My mom worked as a cashier at a supermarket at 50 just to put me through school. Standing all day gave her varicose veins, and her legs swelled up like radishes. My college roommate married a rich husband, and when they got divorced, she walked away with nothing, not even custody of the child, because she didn't have the financial means. I didn't want to end up like that, so when Lu Shiyu proposed to me with a notarized property division agreement in hand, I didn't hesitate for long. 2 large apartments, 2 cars, 4% of Lu Group's shares, and 10 million in cash. That's enough for me to live quite well. As for whether he truly loved me, I didn't care, and whether I would truly fall for him. If he hadn't betrayed me, he would have believed I loved him. Over the days that followed, I occasionally heard a few things about Chen Shuyao. It started with people from her company spreading it around. The diagnosis report was opened and read by a co-worker at her company. The same city courier delivery had been sent to reception, and the front desk girl helped place it on her desk. Then a co-worker opened it, and in less than half a day, the whole company knew that Chen Shuyao had HIV. Chen Shuyao was treated like a monster at the company. Her co-workers steered clear whenever they saw her. No one wanted to share the restroom with her. No one wanted to eat at the same table with her. And someone even stuck a sticky note on her desk that said, "HIV positive, please keep your distance." She went to the boss in tears to complain, and he very politely said, "Our company does not discriminate against any illness." But the next day, HR called her in for a talk, saying, "Your work performance hasn't been very good lately, so we suggest you take an extended leave. If you know what a long holiday really means." A week later, she received her termination notice. They paid her N+1 severance. When she was going through the paperwork, HR wore disposable gloves the whole time and spoke to her from 2 desks away, loud enough for the entire floor to hear. Chen Shuyao's hand was shaking as she signed. From then on, her life was like a car with no brakes, careening downhill. First, the lease on her rental apartment ended because she couldn't afford the monthly rent. She moved into a handshake building in an urban village, where, it was said, even the sunlight couldn't get in. Clothes hung in the hallway wouldn't dry for 3 days. 10. She began showing up at the entrance to Lu Shiyu's company more and more often. The first time she went, she was wearing a pink dress and full makeup. Looking no different from before, she stood in the lobby and told the receptionist, "I'm here to see Lu Shiyu, I'm his friend." The front desk called upstairs, and Lu Shiyu's secretary came down. She was polite but distant. "Ms. Chen, Mr. Lu isn't available to see visitors today." Chen Shuyao sat on the sofa in the lobby and waited for a full 4 hours. In the end, the security guard escorted her out. The next day, on the 3rd day, on the 4th day, she started making a scene. "Lu Shiyu, get out here. Are you even a man? You dare do it but won't own up to it. You owe me an explanation. You infected me. You have to take responsibility." Everyone in the lobby heard it. Lu Shiyu finally came down, his face dark with anger. He pulled her aside and said in a low voice, "Chen Shuyao, have you lost your mind? What are you making a scene for here? It's not even clear who infected whom, and you know how messy your circle is, don't you?" Chen Shuyao froze. "What did you say? What do you mean? Lu Shiyu, you're despicable. You were the one who came after me. You were the one who texted me. Enough." Lu Shiyu cut her off. "I don't care who pursued whom, get out right now, and if you come back, I'll call security." He turned and walked away. Chen Shuyao stood in the lobby, tears smudging her makeup as black eyeliner streaked down her cheeks like 2 winding rivers. She stood there for a long time, then walked away alone. But this was only the beginning. After that, Chen Shuyao became a ticking time bomb, showing up in Lu Shiyu and Qing Yanzhou's lives every now and then. After Lu Shiyu's Security guards kicked her out. She went to Qing Yanzhou's company. Although Qing Yanzhou never ended up marrying Chen Shuyao, they kept seeing each other, and sure enough, Qing Yanzhou was infected too. Chen Shuyao stormed into Qing Yanzhou's office like a madwoman and demanded he give her money for treatment. That was when Qing Yanzhou learned that Chen Shuyao had AIDS. His face turned green on the spot. He took 3 days off to get tested. As expected, the results were no surprise, HIV-1. Antibody positive. 2 months later, I heard about Chen Shuyao again. Chen Shuyao had completely lost her mind every day. She took turns staking out the entrances to Lu Shiyu's and Qing Yanzhou's companies, like an abandoned statue, showing up right on time every day, and right on time to hurl abuse. Lu Shiyu called the police. When the officers came, they talked her into leaving, but the next day, she was back again. Qing Yanzhou also reported it to the police, but it was the same procedure. The same outcome. She was like an inescapable nightmare, haunting the lives of these 2 men, forcing them to live each day in fear and shame. Lu Shiyu's company's stock began to fall, as someone deliberately seized upon the incident to stir up trouble. They hired some influencers to publish ambiguous articles with headlines like, Lu Group President Mired in HIV Scandal, Company Future in Jeopardy. The article is a mix of fact and fiction, but readers don't care about the truth, they're only interested in the gossip. The Lu family's board of directors could no longer sit idly by. In the end, Lu Shiyu was stripped of his position as CEO. He wasn't put on leave, he was shown the door outright. The company issued an official and carefully worded announcement. Mr. Lu Shiyu has resigned from his position as chief executive officer for personal reasons. The board of directors expresses its recognition and gratitude for his work during his tenure, but everyone within the company knew the real story. Qing Yanzhou's fate was a carbon copy of Lu Shiyu's. The 2 men, once at the pinnacle of their careers, were unceremoniously ousted by their own companies, becoming the laughingstock of the entire industry, and the only people they could blame, besides each other, were Chen Shuyao. 11. 3 people were like grasshoppers tied together by an invisible rope, hating and tearing at each other, with no one able to escape. Qing Yanzhou resented Chen Shuyao for dragging him into this mess, and hated her for causing a scene at his workplace, which cost him his job. Lu Shiyu resented Chen Shuyao for betraying his trust. Although he had betrayed Jiang Nanchu's trust himself, in his eyes, his relationship with Chen Shuyao had been nothing more than a fling from the very beginning, and Chen Shuyao shouldn't have blown the whole thing up like this. Chen Shuyao resented them both. She resented Lu Shiyu for turning his back on her, and she despised Qing Yanzhou for abandoning her to her fate. She asked them for money to pay for her treatment, and they told her, you had it coming. She asked them to take responsibility, and they said, what's that got to do with me? After being rejected again and again, humiliated over and over, Chen Shuyao finally snapped. I found out what happened later, when I saw it on the news the next day. Shocking headline, former company executive attacked by ex-girlfriend, both seriously injured and hospitalized. I clicked in to take a look. The details were sparse, but enough to piece together the full picture. In the garage, Chen Shuyao attacked Lu Shiyu and Qing Yanzhou, castrating them. Lu Shiyu and Qing Yanzhou were rushed to the hospital, while Chen Shuyao was committed to a psychiatric facility. She was diagnosed with acute stress disorder with psychotic features, requiring long-term inpatient treatment. I closed the news page. It was getting dark outside, so I grabbed my phone and ordered takeout, spicy crayfish with a side of rice, and I'm already looking forward